Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalamun.
All right. How are
So
you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Very, very good to see you. Good to see you again for part two of a very
Likewise.
wonderful conversation we were having.
Mm.
Uh, so tonight, as you mentioned, we're going to be speaking about some differences that need to be clearly understood. And one of those is the difference between contracts and obligations. So I'm going to let you set the table for this one and bring out the initial dishes that we're about to dine from.
All right. The last conversation we had, what you were talking about, made me think about Surah 5 in the Quran, and
Yes,
that is Surah Al-Ma'idah. And in the beginning of the Surah, the Creator, Allah, is asking the reader to fulfill all obligations. In my translation, I made a
yes.
distinction between Yusuf Ali's translation, which states contracts. And Yusuf Ali's translation is highly used around the world. One example is the Muslim Pro app. That's one of the translations that is afforded to any user on the app.
Yes.
So the contract, that word, can be seared into a reader's mind, and it might not be the correct transliteration of the Arabic in the Quran.
Hmm.
So with the word obligations, we have some consonantal um, signs in the B, the L, the G, and then I'm gonna say the suffix shun, obligation, that Tion.
Yeah.
Um, and I had mentioned that with the letter B is a container that empties out and fills in, with the L coming after it for communication, with the G coming from the back of your mind, and with the shun being everywhere. So
Tell me why. Tell me why the L represents communication.
it represents communication because physically it represents the tongue.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
Um, so with the emptying out of a container, communicating, I think what's in that container from the back of your mind, your maybe your subconscious,
Okay.
everywhere helps um decipher what the Quran is actually saying and asking at times. So,
And what I'll probably do when I process this video is put the word on the screen as you're talking, so people can
okay.
have a direct reference for what you're speaking to. Remember, Nunetics is new to most of the world,
Yeah.
so we don't want to be talking in a bubble, and we don't want to be talking to each other only. What we say is information that everybody can benefit from if they're exposed to it correctly. And that's what we're attempting to do.
Okay.
So continue.
Um, that's where I left off last time. However, and another point is that obligation,
Yeah.
when I looked it up just by the definition, it found I found that it came out of more of a juridical context, meaning judges, laws. I was surprised, but the definition of obligation, and you could correct me if I get this incorrect, is to do, to give, or not to do. Whereas a contract, in my mind, is something that's laid out. Two parties are laying out stipulations in the beginning to be executed at certain times to the end of that contract. An obligation doesn't seem like that. It seems more fluid, and it seems that it can happen at any time, anywhere. So as I was reading and understanding the translation that I have, I settled on that obligation would probably be a better term to go off than contracts.
Okay, so let me give you some information that will be very, very useful for you based on the way I see you study.
Okay.
Because everybody doesn't study on your level. But I want to give you something that you can use directly. And that is that when we look out at the world of people, places, and things, or what we call nouns,
Yeah.
we see things. We see our auntie, cousin, the town, the Capitol building. We see things. We don't always understand what we're looking at, but we do see things. And we don't always understand what to do in the place that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in New York City, but I didn't know what New York City meant, as a global city when I was 5 years old. I had no clue that it was the capital of, and that kind of thing. I only knew my basic personal experience growing up in New York City. And my personal experience was exactly that. It connected me to my family, of course, who lived with me. It connected me to my block and my neighbors who I knew because I saw them almost every day. And it connected me to a learning environment, my first school, my primary school, even my junior high school and my high school, all of them were in New York City. So that's what I knew about New York City.
Hmm.
But the true value for what a person will learn comes after they learn what a thing does. What a person, place, or thing, commonly known as a noun, the true value of the noun is in what the noun does as a verb.
Mm.
So when we look at words, we're not looking at all verbs. When we
Hmm.
look at verbs, we're not looking at all action qualities because a verb is an action. It has a beginning and an end.
Right.
Every action has a beginning when you first initiate it. It has its strongest point that you might call its middle point, and then it eventually tapers off and it ceases to exist.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about this conversation here, this is a verb because
Right.
it had a
Okay.
beginning and it eventually has to end.
Hmm.
Okay. Every action, answering the telephone, going to work each day, going to the supermarket, speaking to my mother on the phone, whatever action it is, it has a beginning and then it has to have a conclusion. So when you look at words from this point on, look for their significance in terms of what it is they do,
Mm.
not just what it is they look like. So we have two words here up for discussion. The one that we've been discussing mostly is obligation.
Hmm.
And that word is throughout the Quran. It's translated uh, differently. In other words, the Quran sometimes uses a different word, but uses the same translation as obligate or obligation. Okay. Um, but you have the word responsibility that can be interchanged with that.
Yeah.
We have the word duty that
Mm.
can be interchanged with that. Uh, and the word obligation comes from the smaller word oblige. But within those words, there are also smaller words, and that's what I want you to begin looking for. This is true for
Yeah.
anybody who's studying the Nunetics method. Always look for the smallest, not just the smaller word, the smallest word that can come out of that bigger word that you're using. So I'm going to test you on this with the word responsibility. How many words do you see in that one word?
Ah. Um. Right now, three off the top of my head.
Give them to me.
So, reap. Then you have response. You have ability, Uh, is Sybil one that's in the middle?
That's a good guess. Let's see.
Uh,
Let me know when you run out.
I'm not sure if there's a word that's Ponce. Seems like it could be.
Well,
It's
yeah,
close
there's a part
to
of your brain that's
Bond.
called pons.
Uh,
Now, let's look at it more critically. Uh, in many of these words in English, there are what are called prefixes, suffixes, and even infixes.
mm, okay.
And the longer the word, the chances are that it contains all three of these, what they call affixes. An
Mm,
affix is something that you fix to the root word that you're dealing with. So responsibility has the prefix re,
hmm
which means to do something over again or repeatedly.
hmm
Then you have sponse, wherein is where you find that smaller word pons,
Okay.
pons. But you also have the word response,
hmm
which means you're doing whatever pond means. Respond.
Mm, yeah.
There's a lot of little words that they pack into bigger words that are
Yeah.
clues for those who are teaching their children and their grandchildren to be wise. These are not clues that are put into language for the average one of the dodos who are out here,
Mm,
who are not trained to think. I'm not calling them dodos because that's my viewpoint. That's the viewpoint of people who established language.
right.
If that wasn't their viewpoint, they wouldn't have hidden so many secrets in language. Then you
Mm,
have at the end of it, really, a part of the word that comes from ability, responsibility.
hmm
And ability is from the word able, able, able.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
So you have all of these words acting within one large word, and
Yeah.
each one of them have uh, their motivation. They have their reason for being in the word. It's never for just no reason. Every piece of the word, every aspect of its design is there in order to give you further clues and hints into the importance of that word.
hmm
So whether we're talking about the prefix re, whether we're talking about the infix called sponse, or whether we're talking about the suffix called ability.
hmm
That's how basic it is. It's broken down generally into those three parts. Once you master breaking down those three parts, then you can get even more into the minutia of breaking down words like ponce, able, and those kinds of things. Um, so the prefix re already means that you're doing something over again. I'm returning the book. I'm responding to your question. So re means that you're doing it in a way that can be done, it can be done again when necessary. So I gave you one answer, but you're still asking me questions. So I'm going to continue to respond. All right. Now, why am I going this long route? I'm going this long route to open you up to further wisdom for
hmm
understanding language, especially the English language. But the same process can be employed within the Arabic language also. The Nunetics method has us searching for the Fitrah based meaning first. And what do we mean by Fitrah based meaning? The meaning that corresponds with nature. And what is nature? Nature is just a combination of people, places, and things that we find in us and around us. We call them nouns.
Mm,
The Fitrah, I repeat, is a combination of what we find in us and around us in the environment around us as nouns, as persons, places, and things.
mm,
Once we develop a relationship with those nouns, we then begin to develop insight into the verbs that are connected to those nouns.
mm,
In other words, we have to now know what those nouns do
mhm,
as actions.
mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're dealing with,
Mm.
I'm trying to remember before we spoke on obligation, what was the first word that we were dealing with in the
Contract.
hmm?
Contract.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. Contract. Okay. So contract is in nature, but it's not in nature as a verb or as an adverb. It's in nature as something that you can witness. It's in nature. Actually, I'm sorry, pardon me, my mistake. It's in nature as a verb.
Mhm,
It might be in your
mhm,
hands as a noun. I'm bringing you my contract. I need to start work here. And here's the agreement. That's what we mean when we say contract, right? But here is what it is I'm being asked to do, or here it is that I'm asking you to do. Here's what it is that I'm asking you to do. So, contract is in nature when you begin to look more deeply into what nature does. If I
mhm,
look close enough into a person's eyes, and if I bring a lot of light into the picture or onto
mhm,
the set, then there's something in the very design and the makeup of my eyes that is going to do what's called contracting. My iris is
mhm,
going to contract. If I put enough light there, then the pupil is going to contract. It's going to become very small because it doesn't need as much light to enter. If
mhm,
I'm brought suddenly into a dark space, then my eyes are going to expand.
mhm,
Now, people might say, well, what does that have to do with what you're talking about? Whenever you trace a situation back to Allah's fitrah, you're tracing it back to its origins. And the origins is actually where the deep, deep, deep wisdom lies.
mhm,
So when you think about making a contract with somebody, get that out of your head because that's not a first meaning. That's what's called a connotation.
mhm,
All right.
mhm,
A connotation is when they con the note.
mhm,
You heard me say that before, probably, right?
mhm,
It's when they con the note. The original note is called a
mhm,
denotation.
mhm,
D in this case means down, de-escalate, bring it down, right? Bring it down. But down as a Fitrah-based movement means foundational. When you drop your head down, that's the foundation, meaning this is what you're standing upon, what I'm looking at when I look down. This is what is supporting me. All of these ideas go into the formation of language,
mhm,
right? So that's a denotation. You have to first know what you're standing upon. Then they look at what you're standing upon, and if it doesn't correspond with the message that they're trying to give you for their own benefit, then they redo the note. They
mhm,
redesign the note. They con the note. So you
mhm,
think you're hitting a high C when in fact for them it's a middle G, or some other note that's not the note that you should be vibrating on.
mhm,
So this is what happens in language.
Mhm.
So when they say uh, obligate, for instance, or when they say duty, or when they use any of the other words that are supposed to be pretty much the same meaning, that's not always what they're saying. They're really steering your brain waves. They're steering your spirit even in a
Mhm.
particular direction based on what it is they want you to believe about the word magic that they're casting a spell with. And that's all they're doing when they use language, when they use words, they're casting spells so
Mhm.
that you will become entranced in a particular direction. And you'll continue to march to those orders because you will believe that that's what you're intended to do.
Mhm.
All right. I'm giving you the roundabout way of understanding direct language
Mhm.
because there really is no direct language created by this world. The direct language is the language that points directly to the fitrah, and that's what Allah has revealed in the Quran. That's really the only direct language in the world right now because it's based on Mother Nature. And that language was here before man ever spoke a word. That language was here before man was even created. The fitrah,
Right.
that was here. So when man spoke, all he could speak in the beginning was what he witnessed in Allah's fitrah. Then he began to manipulate what he was looking at and listening to and touching and smelling and tasting. He began to manipulate that. So instead of it being an orange that you're eating now, it's an artificial fruit with no seeds. So the human being is always adding, thinking that he can further perfect what is already perfect. That's when the denotation becomes a connotation. He's conning the note. What note are we referring to? The note upon which Allah created us to function by. So what does that mean, Instructor Bilal? Allah says He created us from teen. That's the Arabic word, teen. It means shapeable clay.
Mhm.
The Quran says He created you min teen, from clay. But notice that the word teen, Teen, shares consonantal connections with the word tune, the English word Tune. All right.
Mhm.
Consonantal connections is what you're looking for. So if Allah created us min teen, from clay, but clay has a consonantal connection with the word tune, the English word tune, and tune has to do with vibration.
Yeah.
So all of us are byproducts of vibration, what we call
Mhm.
frequencies. You see how that just opened it up for us? Simple words that Allah is using in His Quran just opened up a wealth of information. You mean to tell me we're not just created from a sperm drop and an ovum of a female? No,
Right.
inside of that, you're created from a frequency. You're
Mhm.
created based on a particular vibration. And if I can control the sound wave that created you, if I
Mhm.
can master that vibration, then I can master you. So when we see people walking along and all they have in their heads is the latest hip hop song, and it doesn't matter what the song is saying, you could be calling your girlfriend a no good MF son of a B, and they don't care
Mhm.
because that's the rhythm that they're bopping to. That's the rhythm that they're grooving to. They think it's okay because they have interwoven it now into your very fitrah. And they've created a false fitrah veneer to go over your original fitrah that, for all intents and purposes, would reject that message if you brought it as a denotation. It would say this
Right.
this piece of music, this is not even music. This is garbage. Get this out of here. That's what the average person with common sense would say.
Mm,
But the key to somebody accepting any message is to just repeat it, constantly
mm,
repeat it. Repetition, because it's the repetition that's making that message solidify. See, that's why the word Peter means to solidify.
mhm,
Petra,
mhm.
Peter, Petra, petrify. That means
Yeah.
it solidifies you, it just keeps you stuck.
Mm,
Allah says He
mm,
created us from malleable clay, clay that can be shaped. They come along and they begin blowing on the clay from their heat, and it's their heat that solidifies the clay. It's their
mhm,
heat that turns you into Peter. I
mhm,
don't know if you ever read the Bible, but the Bible says that Jesus and Peter were out walking, and Jesus started walking on the water.
mhm,
And he beckoned to Peter to come join him, come behind him and walk on the water also. And it says that Peter
mhm.
sank.
Yep.
Why? Because he was petrified.
Mm,
He was too heavy for the
mm,
molecules that comprised the water.
mhm, mhm,
He sank.
mm.
This is all dealing with human science and psychology.
Yeah.
What's in the Bible as well as what's in the Quran is just coming to make the same message clearer,
Yeah.
less vague, less esoteric, you know? Um, so now let's arrow back to the original points here. When we say obligate, look for the Fitrah connection. The Fitrah connection in the word obligate or obligation is the word
Mm.
lig.
I thought you were
Remember,
asking me that before.
yeah, all big words are just combinations of smaller words.
Hmm.
So when you look at lig, obligation,
Hmm.
you're looking at the word leg. All you got to do is just keep replacing the vowels.
Hmm. Hmm.
Look for log.
Mm. It's a good one.
You see it? Because
Hmm.
log is what gave us logic or logic.
Hmm.
Because the
Yep.
log is from a part of the creation that grows upon a well-defined logic, the tree. It grows upon a well-designed and well-known logic. I begin with a seed. I can't begin with anything else except a seed.
Yep.
Then it begins to develop
Hmm.
a tap root that goes down first before it comes back up to become the actual root of the plant or the tree.
Hmm.
Then that stem begins to grow up and it begins to branch out. And on that branch becomes buds, they call them. And then the buds will eventually flower into a full blown tree or full blown whatever kind of tree, apple tree, orange, whatever's supposed to be on the end of that tree
Right.
branch. But it grows upon a logic.
Hmm.
And it won't matter whether it's an apple tree, an orange tree, or whatever. It's going to grow basically upon that same logic. So we
Yeah.
look for the logic in the thing. This is what the Quran is here to train our brains to do. Look for the underlying logic. So I ask
Yeah.
myself that question all of the time. They say Allah wants us to do this and that and the third thing, and He wants to make it compulsory that we make this many prayers and these positions. And what's the logic? There's supposed to be an underlying logic, a reason for being. Allah doesn't just say things and do this and do that, and He has no logical structure to it. The whole universe has logical structure, even if we don't understand the logic. Everything
Mm.
has what's called a purpose, right? So
Yeah.
when we're looking at what obligates us, we have to be sure that what is obligating us is based upon a particular logic that makes sense to the brain.
For sure.
So,
That would make it better.
mm, say it
So
again.
that would make it better. That'll make the
Oh,
obligation
that'll
better.
make
It'll
it
make it
perfect. Yeah, that'll make it what we need for it to be for us to continue growing and evolving. We
yeah.
don't grow and evolve off of rituals.
Right.
We grow and evolve off of consistent routines.
Hmm.
And a lot of people think those are the same words, ritual and routine. No, a routine is something that you do regularly. Brush your teeth, take a shower, bath, put clothes on. You know, those are routines that we do pretty much on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And the difference is that the routine is always going to lead to a discernible benefit. What's the
Yes.
purpose of me brushing my teeth? What's the
Hmm.
purpose of me putting on pants before I go out, putting on clean underwear, putting on a jacket
Hmm.
if it's a little cool outside? What's the purpose? There's always a purpose. That's a
Right.
routine. But a ritual has no discernible purpose. It's just done for doing sake. You know those
Hmm.
guards that stand outside of the London, whatever that is over in London, and they stand out there and they're, all
Uh-huh.
stiff as a board and all, and those are
Yeah.
rituals. The rituals that are conducted by these societies of Freemasons and Shriners and all of these types of people, they're involved in a whole lot of rituals. Some of them tell you to lay down in water. Some of them tell you to lay down in a pool of blood.
Hmm.
And then they perform certain words and stuff over you and all, and then you're supposed to do what they say. They're going to tie a mask, so that you can't see anything that they're telling you to do. And you're going to get up from all of that mess and you're going to eat what they tell you to eat. And sometimes what they're telling you to eat, horrifically speaking, is not stuff that you're
Hmm.
supposed to be eating.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sometimes the things they tell you to do is responsible for taking the life of innocent people. Now, this is not, don't go to your uncle and say, I heard you Masons. I'm not talking about these low level Masons out here. I'm talking about some high up people in this world who are actually involved in running the world that we know right now. Many of them are that off center. Their moral compass has been tilted in the wrong direction. So they do
Hmm.
rituals all of the time that are not designed to bring about a discernible good outcome. So that's not what Muslims are supposed to be following. We're not supposed to be following rituals because anybody can suggest a ritual. And if you don't know what it's intended to have you do at the end of the day, you could very well be following Shaitan and not know it, just following the ritual.
Yeah.
Bowing down in and of itself is neither good nor bad until I apply a moral to it, a reason for doing it. And the reason is going to tell me whether or not this is something that Allah is pleased with.
Mm.
So this session is a little deeper than I intended, but I think you get the message in the way that I'm presenting it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So move away from rituals, even if they are as simple as what they're giving you as the ritually connected salat, and move further in the direction of the routine called as-salat. At the end of the routine called as-salat, you're going to feel a discernible difference because that salat has to do with meditation, contemplation.
Contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
I just yeah.
Yeah, that level of intensity, that level of taking yourself out of the world, literally, just divorcing yourself from worldly activities and all of that for the amount of time that it takes you to complete the routine so that you can step back in clean, so that you can step back in without the same uh, tendency to be pulled in the wrong direction by this world. It relieves you of that. It releases you of that. Now, to my second point concerning the word contract. When a thing contracts, it is made smaller.
Right.
The opposite of contract, in the sense that we're using it now, is expansion.
Yeah.
Allah says, do they not see that the very universe is constantly expanding? So
Yeah.
expansion is the ultimate goal of every atom of existence.
Okay.
Everything is constantly unfolding and showing you its inner core. If it were not, we wouldn't be here because we're really the outgrowth of an expansion that began atomically.
Mm,
One atom, what we call now one soul, if we're looking at it Quranically, min nafsin wahida, from one single entity, one single essence, one single soul. But that one single soul had to have within it, built into it, an ability or capacity to expand. And that's how babies
yeah.
are born and all other life forms get here. But life forms, generally speaking, oh, this is
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm about to tell you. Generally speaking, life forms are born to be contracted,
What do you mean?
not expanded. Yeah, let me explain. Life forms are born to be contracted. When the baby is in the womb, what is his or her position?
Upside down?
At a particular time, yeah, before it turns up right side up. Pardon me, it's right side up until it turns upside down in order to be born, yes. But literally, what is its position in the womb?
Oh, it's contracted. It's tight.
That's right.
Mm,
Throughout the entire 8, 9 month journey, it's in the womb contracted. When it
yeah.
turns upside down, and the weight of that big head begins to press on the mother's uterus, and that baby is born finally, and they pull that baby out from the vagina. What is the position of that baby when they pull him out finally?
Fancy.
Yes, he's stretching, he's expanding.
Yeah.
Ah, ah. Let me give it to you in a more simple logic. Look at the frog.
Mm,
What is the frog's default position?
it's contracted.
He's
It's
contracted. What is
yeah.
his position when he needs nourishment?
Either his tongue or his legs are going to extend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before he jumps, he's contracted. In order to jump, he has to become expanded.
Yeah.
This is telling you something also about the human psychology and the human mind.
It is.
Before the human mind can make movement in the world, it has to learn to become expansive. And he'll make that jump, and his tongue will come out and catch that fly right at the right moment. And that sticky tongue will take that fly in as nourishment. And then he'll go right back to his default setting.
Yeah.
So there's a lesson in that. There's an ayat in that. And that is that although Allah has allowed us to become expansive, He's allowed us to sometimes become big chested. That's not your default setting. Allah said that Iblis became that. Allah said that
Yeah.
Iblis became estakbaru, bigger than what he actually was.
Right.
Yeah. You know, when you put the AST on the front of an Arabic word, it means that he wasn't really that, but in his mind, he was that. You say astakbaru. He was kabir, but when you say astakbaru, you're saying he in his mind, he was seeking that. That's what that
Mm,
prefix means, AST. That's why we
gotcha.
say astaghfirullah. It doesn't mean we have forgiveness. It means we're seeking Allah's forgiveness.
Um, makes
And that's
sense.
true for any word that you find in the Quran or in the Arabic language that begins with AST.
Mm,
And each one of those letters has its significance, which we'll go over at a later date. But the point is that we're talking about the thing's default setting. The thing's default setting is always salam.
mm,
It's always peace.
mm,
Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Peace it is until the rise of al-fajr, until the
mm.
dawning of the light. Why? Because the dawning of the light brings things into activity. I can't be
Yeah.
still. I got to go to work. I can't be still. I got to go see that girl that I met at the library the other night or the other day. I can't be still. In the light, no, that's why the Quran says Laylatul Qadr. The night is supposed to bring you that salam because
Mm,
the salam gives you the perfect conditions for the birth of energy.
okay.
The
Mm,
birth of energy takes two essential components.
mm.
One is electricity. You can probably guess what the other one is.
Magnetism.
That's right. It's electricity married to magnetism. They're
Yeah.
mates. Well,
Mm,
you may be surprised to know something that I haven't taught to anyone yet, except for you. You're the first one to hear this.
mm,
But the letter sin also represents electricity.
mm.
That that sound, that's
Like an
electric.
electric wire.
That's right.
Mm,
Then you can probably put together that the letter meme that comes at the end of salam
hmm.
means magnetism.
It's like a hum of a motor.
Yeah.
And a motor, modern motors use magnets.
Okay. We're putting it together. So salam represent the principles of electricity and magnetism when they join, when they come together, or when they're hooked into each other. And that's what lam is. It's a hook. If you look at it, it's a shepherd's hook.
Yep.
And it joins one thing with another.
Mm,
It's a joiner, just like the shepherd's hook. It joins the hook with the neck of the sheep to keep them in line, to keep them obeying orders. So, in
okay.
order for your very creation, your very makeup to obey the order in which Allah created it, it has to follow the dictates of those two energies. You are, as well as the rest of this universe, is composed of electricity and magnetism. No doubt about it, no doubt about it. That's what we are. And one
Mm,
repels while the other attracts. So we're still back to contract and expansion. Electricity expands things outward. Lightning bolt,
yeah.
wow. But the magnetism brings things to it. So the masculine energy that the male is to carry, that's electric. But the energy which it is compelled to follow is the feminine energy. Not to follow, pardon me, but that it compels the feminine energy to follow is masculine energy. So the feminine energy, even in the female, she's compelled to follow the masculine energy for
And you say
survival's sake,
inner or outside?
inside and outside.
Got it. Got it.
Now, is that a hard and fast rule that we're trying to establish so we can bring in some new machismo, some sexism or something? No, that's just the way nature planned it.
Mm.
Doesn't mean she's a man.
Mm-mm.
It just means that she has more masculine, pardon me, she has more feminine quality to work
Mm-hmm.
with than she has masculine quality. And some females are very masculine, just by nature. That's just how they are.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had a lot of masculine energy, but she wouldn't, she wasn't funny. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My
Yes.
wife comes from a long line of women who had a lot of masculine qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Karima, if you know my wife, she's what they call alpha female. she she's a dominant female.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But trust me, it has nothing to do with her sexuality.
Right. Right.
So these are the things that we have to creep up on as subjects, because
Mm-hmm.
this is an area of science that most of us have been kept far away from, because if they introduce it to you, it will free you. It will free you mentally, it will free you emotionally, and it will free you spiritually. And freedom is the last thing that the manipulators of this world want you to come into. And it's all tied into the understanding of the Fitrah based Arabic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we are with that.
I mean, I think being a free man in the city is worth it. So
Absolutely worth it. I wouldn't have it any other way. You see, let's go back to the word
good.
obligate. The word
Okay.
obligate gives us also the word ligature. And a ligature is a letter shape, a ligature.
See, sometimes you go to ligament, not ligature, but this is
Yeah.
ligature.
The key, as I
Okay.
said, are in the LIG. And
Okay.
whatever you can pull out of that is going to be related.
Got it.
So yeah, I go to ligament as that which is holding your very bones together.
Yeah.
And I can also go to ligature, which holds words together. Those letters and their
Continuing at it.
shapes. Yeah. So the
Got it.
idea is what holds you together.
Mm,
What
mm,
holds people together are the people in their history who become legends.
mm. Okay.
So Muhammad Ali is in our culture. Yeah, we like to refer to him because he's a legend, you know? Some is Michael Jackson. He opened up the whole world of dance, unique
Hmm.
forms of dance. Doesn't make him better than anybody. Doesn't make Muhammad
Right.
Ali a better human than another human being. But these are legends. And it's the LEG that we're looking at.
That leg.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because the leg is what takes you forward into the future.
Mm,
Unless you're
mm,
moonwalking, then it takes you backwards. You think you're going forward, it takes you backwards. But no, the legs are supposed to take you forward. The direction that Allah put your eyes in when He put those eyes in your head. He didn't put one of them, not even one of them looks back.
mm, mm.
They don't slip back. Some animals can do that. They have eyes that can
Yep.
see to the sides and behind them. That's not how the human being is designed.
Mm,
Human being is designed to be forward looking. That's another ayat, another signature, sign, instruction that Allah put in the human being's physical fitrah. That my eyes are
mm,
designed to see what's ahead of me, because what's ahead of me is the thing that is always happening right now. I'm always somewhere new
Yeah.
and fabulous and wonderful and mystified, and it needs to be figured out right here now. And I only look back there for reference. You only look in your rearview mirror when you're driving
Mm,
because let me see, I make the right turn. But what happens if you keep looking
yeah.
in the rearview mirror while you're trying to drive forward?
You miss everything.
That's where black people are right now.
Mm, mm, mm,
So-called black
mm.
Americans, that's where most of us are right now. Don't count me in that group because I'm not in that group. But too many of our people
Okay.
like to just stay stuck in the past. And I know what people say because they
Mm,
say it all of the time. Well, I'm not talking, but no, man, there's certain things that happen to us that, happened to us and didn't happen to anybody else except us. And okay, it happened. But how long are you
mm,
going to fuss and complain about it as opposed to using your resources to do something to change what's about to happen in your very near future?
mm.
Are we just going to complain? Are we going to say we're going to take those incidences in our history and design a better future? So we have to be the ones to design our own future, to chart our own course.
Yeah.
I remember Imam W.D. Muhammad saying once, he said, we, meaning the African American, we have to proceed in the world as though nobody else exists except us.
Mm,
That's the only way we're going to get out of the situation we're in right now. The poverty and the hopelessness and all of that. He said, you have to proceed forward as though you're the only one in the world and the only ones that you can depend on in the world. So now when you go to buy, you're going to be looking to buy from people who are like you.
mhm,
Now, when you go for your cultural input and output, you're going to be looking for people who share your cultural dynamics.
mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean you're going to sit and you're never going to listen to opera. You're never going to, no, because many of those uh, modes of entertainment and music and expression came out of lands that were blacker than most of us.
Mm,
They came out of Asia and Africa and these other places. So no place is an island.
mhm,
But as
mhm,
far as your cultural contribution, I'm talking about the one that put the airplane up in the sky, those kinds of contributions. Your technology. Yeah, you had it back in ancient Egypt, but where's it now? And is me crying about my current condition going to put a plane up there in the future?
mm.
Or am I just going to keep complaining about the people who are making that level of progress? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to redevelop our own starting point and only invite people into your circle who who share your interests.
Mm,
And when I say share your interests, I'm talking about your human interests,
mm,
not always your cultural interests or your racial interests. Because many people who share culture, many people who share skin color, many people who share race, some of them are diametrically opposed to each other.
mhm, mhm.
And some of the people who don't share color, who've been living with each other, next to each other, among each other for the past 400, 500, 600 years, like we have in this country, mixed up with so-called white people and whoever else has been here in the last 400 years. Very often we have more in common with each other.
Yeah.
I'm here in the South. I know I have more common with so-called white people here than I have with the Nigerian.
Right.
I know it. It doesn't make anybody good or bad. That just makes it the situation that I'm dealing with.
Mhm, mhm,
So we need a new paradigm for
mm,
understanding the world, actually. We need a new paradigm for thinking.
mm,
And we have to decide early on that we cannot take the entire world with us on this journey, this linguistic journey. In Nunetics, we're at a precipice, but at the same time, we're at a beginning point in the spread of Nunetics.
mm,
We're actually at a contracted point right now, but we're about to go into an expanded point.
Mm.
We're about to reach an expanded level. You know why? Because we're hungry, like the frog is for the fly.
Mhm.
That's why.
I got
Yeah.
you keep I got something to tell you about. You keep saying the frog, but it's so interesting. I have a book title in my mind, and
Mhm.
it uses that, but it's just amazing how, yeah, I mean, because the example fits that's why that
Bring
frog
it.
is
Yeah. Bring it. Let's
very
hear it.
analogy. Well, the book title is American Few. So the American Few, the F, the E, and the G, or the W, excuse me, stand for American Frog, American Eagle, and American Wolf. Each one is a perspective. And
Okay.
American Frog is exactly that. You know, Americans, we have a tendency, people turn up the heat, we stay contracted until that,
Ah, that's right.
you
That's
know,
right.
then with the American Eagle, just you know, big picture wise, the American Eagle is that American or the phase of an American goes through where he or she has that vision. He can see things, but with the bald eagle, even our mascot, there's still some cons. It's not like it's invincible. And
Hmm.
then at the end of that transitional process, you have the American wolf. And that's the one
Mm.
that the big bad wolf, the three little pigs, we know what happens with the wolf, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
that type of theme going on in with
That's
that type.
beautiful, man. Yeah. You need to continue to develop that.
I'm trying.
The wolf is in the Quran also,
Yeah.
in the story of Yusuf.
Yes. Yes.
They tried to blame the wolf.
Right.
Yusuf's demise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said
Yeah.
he had the blood of Yusuf on him.
Mhm.
The wolf must have devoured him.
Right.
Yeah,
Is it,
but the wolf. Yes, go ahead.
does it have to do with rage? Because I was just researching rage the other day, which led
Mhm.
me on a journey. So led me on a journey. But does it have the wolf in the story of Yusuf? Somehow they're trying to say that the rage of something, kind of like a symbol, did away with their brother.
Yeah, you remember there are many different ways of looking at these scenarios because the Quran is rich with picture language.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
speaks mostly through imagery.
Yeah.
So Allah leaves us free to invest our own personalities and our own knowledge base into these stories. He leaves it open wide enough for us to do that. So we can make our own contribution as long as our contribution does not violate the fitrah of what's being said. It has to constantly be shaped and molded by natural circumstances.
Yeah.
When you start to see these stories go outside of nature, that's when you have to watch out or
Got it.
understand that you're not really conforming to the necessary limits that the Quran is placing on our intellects when we're thinking about these stories.
Got it. Okay.
See,
Makes sense.
so when the Quran is speaking about the birds, four birds being revived, and that kind of thing, or the birds in the story of what is I'm trying to think of the surah that deals with birds also. Brain's a little tired now, so excuse me for that. I'll put it in the drop down comments when I come up with it. But the point is that 1,000 years ago, you'll read that and you'll say, okay, birds.
Right.
But in 2025, we read that you're not thinking about birds pelting people with stones and pebbles. That's military.
I might be.
Yeah, that's military right there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the message stays consistent from generation to generation to generation because it's up to you to update the story based on your experience in the world that you live in. This world has turned the Quran into an Arab storybook and into a Middle Eastern storybook. And we don't realize that the term Middle East is fabricated. There's no such thing as a Middle East. Middle East of where? Is it the Middle East when you're in Africa? It's east of where? The middle of what? So they make these things up so that they can give precedence and rule to people and places that are not deserving of it.
Mm.
They did the same thing with the concept of Israel that people are widely and wildly debating right now in 2025.
Mm.
They've mentioned that term so often in the news that we think it means that place over there in the so-called Middle East.
That's
You
one of my
understand what
notes.
I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
it just got that name. How is it the historical Israel is in the Bible?
Right.
That's not even the first place they were looking to settle in. They were looking at Africa
Mm.
at first. And those African nations said, no, we don't want that kind of headache. But they pulled a switcheroo in language, man. That's what did it.
Yeah.
The clever manipulation of language. So I hardly ever say Israel and refer to those people over there who are just decimating Gaza
Yeah.
and who have done many things historically that are very sad and a very sad commentary on how humans can treat other humans. But this is what happens when you convince those humans that they are above human, that they are the masters of other humans, that other humans are just dogs,
Yeah.
just pigs fit for slaughter. When you carry around that mentality and you begin to believe it, remember when something goes into the subconscious mind repeatedly, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between truth and falsehood. It's your
Right.
conscious brain that knows that. The brain in the middle, that brain only knows what you keep repeating to it and it accepts that as the truth. So when you approach people like that, you have to understand that they actually believe this about themselves, that they are the chosen ones. They are the chosen people, selected, hand chosen by God
Right.
to to rule over the rest of the world. So how can I look at them and think that their quest for power ends with their so-called security of that small plot of land that they call Israel? How could your quest for security and power. Security is one thing. Power is another thing. How can I believe that your quest will end with the diameters of the land that you're calling Israel? No, your quest will never end. In political language, it's called expansionism.
Yep. Hmm.
So this thing they're calling now the Greater Israel, that's exactly what that is. It's expansionism. It goes way beyond Palestine,
I agree.
way beyond Gaza,
I agree.
way beyond east, west, or whatever else they got out there that they're, doing what they're doing with. It goes way beyond that. And eventually it will end up at the doors of other African nations. And I say other African nations because Israel is technically a part of the African continent. People don't know that. Look at the map. Just look at the map. It's a part of, as much as Egypt is, a part of the African continent. If they can divide these things up in our mind, though,
Because it's on the peninsula,
yes,
kind of like Florida
look
is
at
a
it.
peninsula. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Madagascar. It's separated unto itself.
Right.
but they consider it to be a part of Africa. Madagascar. Well, Israel is literally connected to the African continent, but they
Right.
say that's not Africa. Madagascar is separated from the continent, but they say that's Africa. So who's zooming who?
Right. Mm.
Yeah, these are just things for us to think about. This is to let the world know that we are also thinkers. We're not people to just swallow because people said we need to feed you an idea. And we just
Right.
open up and become gullible for anything that satisfies the immediate appetite. We're no longer those people. The world is changing. The barren robbers are about to get their due. And I'm not talking about in terms of military. I'm talking about in terms of their loss of their human substance.
Hmm.
That's really what judgment is. It's when you lose your human soul, when your
Mm.
soul itself becomes eradicated.
Mm. Mm.
And until the balance, until the equation changes and begins to tilt in favor of those people who are thinking more logically and rationally, then your situation won't change and you'll eventually just become one of the, hmm, we used to refer to it as the elimination of the soul. That's another idea that Imam Muhammad left us with. He said, you got to be careful in this day and time because there are going to be many souls eliminated from planet Earth. And you can be in this body and still have a soul that has been eliminated. The word elimination just means that you crossed over a threshold
Hmm. Hmm.
from usable to unusable. You can still have all this. You can still have your military. You can still have your finances in the bank. You can have all of that. But when you lose the thing that makes you definitively human, your soul, when you lose that, you've truly lost everything. You're off to the recycle bin,
Mm.
and a lot of things that clog up the computer very often are things that you forgot to erase from the recycling bin. We're
Hmm.
carrying around these ideas that needed to be recycled, but we never pressed the button that said eliminate. So instead, the system gets choked up and eventually the system has to be eliminated. And somebody has to come in and say, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do to fix your computer. I'm going to have to press the default setting on this computer, and it's got to take it all the way back to its origin. That's
Hmm.
where the world is right now.
Mm.
They call it the global reset because they don't understand that they've fallen into the pit that they've tried to place or build for us to fall into.
Right.
They called it the reset. COVID, that whole thing was supposed to be the reset that
Mm.
was set by these billionaires and these tech companies. And they thought they were going to capture the whole world and make us, march to their beat. They still think they're doing it through AI and all of these other things. They're not realizing that AI is actually going to be the best tool ever invented for people like you and me.
Mm.
They control the technology. They invented the technology, but they don't control the outcome.
Yep. Mm.
That's
Understand?
something to think about. Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's right. So anyway, just thought I'd leave you with those few ideas.
Okay.
But that's where we are, man. I feel good about this world. I don't feel depressed or despondent about anything that I see coming or that's presently here with us because I see the bigger plan. I see the cosmic plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Mm.
It's way beyond geography, way beyond ethnic groups. Who's from Europe, who's from Africa, who's from Asia. It doesn't matter. This is about human substance and the evolution of the human soul. That's the battle that we're in right now for the evolution and the sustaining of the human soul itself.
Mm.
And you're either going to be technologically driven and mastered, like these people want you to do in these high tech companies, these billionaires that are thinking that they're designing the new world for us. We're either going to be a part of that and have our souls completely erased,
Mm.
or we're going to see a movement rise up in the world. And this will be clearly by our choice. We're going to see a movement rise up in the world that is going to overtake that energy.
Mm.
But again, that's going to be by our choice. We can choose to do that and survive and thrive, or we can choose to be complacent and lazy and fearful. That's the main tool that will be used. Fearful. We have our finger on the bomb, on the atomic bomb, on the this, that, and that. And we can just sit back and be cowed back in that, what position that we say that was? That contracted position.
Right.
Yeah,
It can I jump in?
please do.
It you said something that still reminded me of Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Musa has the children of Israel at the gate of the Holy Land and tells them to go in, but they say, there's people in there that's stronger than us.
Yeah.
You and your God go in there. But he says,
Yeah, fight. We'll be over here on the side waiting
we'll
on
sit
you.
right here.
We'll
Yeah.
be laying in the cut over here. Yeah,
And then Musa, not
beautiful.
Musa, it says two men, two minds that
Yes,
have the fear, but they have the grace of Allah, say, go through the gate, and once you enter, surely you'll have victory.
yes.
But they still don't want to do it.
Hmm.
So when you talk about the elimination of the soul, you say, we can go this way, we can go that way. It does remind me of that. It gives me that visual. I'll
That's a
say that.
perfect visual. That's a perfect visual because you need a soul to be able to see. You need a soul to have vision.
Yeah.
The child has hope because the child can see. I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
the infant has
Hmm.
hope. He wakes up smiling and laughing and giggling every day. I'm happy to see mommy again. Happy to meet his siblings again, to go outside and be outside for the first few days. And wow, what is he can't speak it, he can't articulate it, but he feels it.
Yeah.
Sees a new person, getting used to a new person. A little dog come up to him and he pet the dog on the nose.
Yeah.
Could be a vicious dog. He pet the dog on the and the dog understands frequency. So the dog is not trying to gnarl him or have him for dinner.
Yeah.
The world is a world of frequencies. Once you learn how to modulate frequencies,
Hmm.
you become the master of human activity, bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah.
Hmm.
Once you learn to master human frequencies, there's no force on this earth, no human force on this earth that can do anything about you or anything with you, except continue to hide you in the cut. So
Hmm.
they did to W.D. Muhammad. They just waited for him to die.
Hmm.
But they didn't know that others would come behind him with even more force.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean you have to have more knowledge. You don't. Doesn't mean your commitment will be more. Usually it's not.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean you sacrificed more. Definitely not.
Hmm.
But your timing was better.
Hmm. Got it.
See, it's
Understand
different
that.
when you're fighting an enemy who knows you are fighting him. It's different when you have to face an enemy he doesn't even know you exist. You have time to strategize. You can sit on the beach and he doesn't even know to get his men ready for you. Because
Yeah.
he's saying that's just the language, that's a genetics thing he's doing. That's nothing.
Hmm.
That can't hurt us. We don't have to worry about that. We're not even a blip on the radar
Hmm.
yet. Not yet.
hmm 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 hmm
And that gives us time to develop. You just a blip in your mother's belly when she first found out she was pregnant. You weren't on anybody's radar. Nobody out here said she's pregnant. They couldn't see you.
hmm
You had to tell them she's pregnant. Really? Yeah, he's about 5 days old. You had to tell them. But when Mary's belly began to grow, see, it's in the Quran. When she began to grow heavy,
Yeah.
you know what heavy means. Yeah, when she began to grow heavy, then they came to feed her and found that she was already well fed. Yeah,
Right. Mm.
yeah. No, I don't need your degrees now. I'm good. I'm here to give instruction to people who are looking for degrees. But this degree is in the Fitrah. That means I don't own it. That means other people can contribute to it who study on this level and they can make their own independent contributions to this language.
Mhm.
I didn't write that book behind you with the rays coming out of it. I didn't write that. And that's any book. That's not just the Quran. That's any book. Can give you light and guidance and wisdom. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Anywhere else you want to go with it?
I can do this all day.
I know, I know. It's interesting, I hadn't intend to actually do. I've done pardon me, 3 or 4 webinars in the last day or so. 3 of them just today
Wow.
because I had forgotten that we were supposed to get back together on Friday. Time for me is not what time might be for you.
hmm hmm
Time for me, and I'll explain it to you on a different day. Time for me is becoming more 4D than 3D.
hmm hmm
All right. In a short sentence, that means that my brain doesn't calculate hours and days and like that. It doesn't calculate like that. My brain calculates experiences.
hmm
So because I do practically the same thing every day, all of the
hmm
days begin to blend in
hmm hmm
as one day. This is just really one day. Then I
hmm
get some rest in between, like when you breathe, you have to
Yeah.
pause,
Yeah.
breathe in, pause, breathe out,
hmm
pause, breathe in,
hmm
pause. Well, that's when I get my rest during those pauses. But whether it's Monday or Wednesday, I have to think very hard about what day it is before I can tell you I'll see you on. That's why I said call me the day before.
I got you.
It's not that I don't have calendars, I can do it,
hmm
but I want other people to be responsible for that. If it's
hmm
worth it to you, then that's what you do. So I said that to say that I've had several conversations with several brilliant minded people like yourself in your age category, young people like yourself. And a lot more younger people are beginning to appeal to what we're doing here at Nunetics Institute. Males and females and national American people and foreign born people and Muslims and people who don't necessarily identify as Muslim
Alhamdulillah.
and Muslims who used to identify as traditional Muslims who found so many holes and cracks and crevices in it that they refuse to identify with that anymore because they say this can't be how Allah wants men to treat their women the way I was treated. No, this can't, in the name of Islam. No, this can't be. Either
hmm
I'm going to leave this religion altogether or I'm going to find somebody who can explain this mess.
hmm
And Allah sent them me a video or something. And they said, well, this is what I was talking about. And the only thing I ask people to do is stop calling it Islam. Call it what Allah calls it, Al Islam.
Since I've heard it from you, that's how I introduce it.
That's right. That's its correct introduction. Would you introduce your wife by any other name except the one that she chooses to go by and be
Right.
respected by? No,
Right.
I don't have that right. I'm introducing my wife to somebody, this is Mrs. Karima Bilal, Medina Bilal. I don't have the right to introduce her as Kay. This is my wife, Miss K, you know. All right, unless she gives me permission. And Allah hasn't given any of us permission to just call this Islam, as much as He has not given us permission to call Him Rahman and not Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim.
Hmm. Yes.
We can't do it. We should feel bad. If we do it by mistake, we should feel bad.
Mm.
So this is the shifting of paradigms for this deen and the people who identify with the deen. As far as I'm concerned, we're starting over from day zero. I don't count, what do they say, 2,300,000 Muslims in the world. That number means nothing to me. You know why? Because it means nothing to Allah in the Quran. It's the Muslims out here that are bragging about how many Muslims are in the world.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me y'all are growing by the leaps and bounds? People are accepting Shahada, as you're telling me, all over the place, all over the world, and people are just coming up and taking Shahada, putting their finger up, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, and they're doing that in Europe, and they're doing that in Africa, and they're doing that in Asia, and they're doing that all over the world. But you haven't corrected the fundamental wrong that this religion of yours has been preaching and teaching. You haven't made minor advancements in the language, but
Hmm.
you're happy that millions are coming in to go to Mecca to see you.
Yep.
That's not right. No, you better go back to your contracted position and just shut it down.
I think there's a surah for that. The cave.
Okay. Call it the contraction. And see, the first one to really wake up good was the dog. And you see what he did? He stretched.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The dog is also appetite. So you have to learn to stretch your appetites.
Mm.
The four paws. You see? He stretched his paws. We need to stretch our paws and put all the stuff they taught us on pause.
Is there a
Not
reference?
forever,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
forever. You pauses are always temporary, and they're designed so that you can make the necessary corrections during the pause.
yeah.
On television, they call that pause commercials.
Yeah.
In breathing, they call it that intermediary point where you're neither breathing in nor breathing out. It's between inhalation and exhalation. There's a pause. Your heart has a beat, but in between beats, there are pauses. If you didn't have those pauses in either of those categories, you would die. So they keep this world on spin dial. They keep us spinning so that there's never a pause for us.
Yeah. Mm.
Never a pause. Because our death accelerates their profit. Not the PROPHET, the PROFIT.
Yeah. Mm.
We fall by the wayside. They just invent some new people to follow this wayward way of
Mm.
ritual worship,
Mm.
of Mecca worship,
Mm.
Medina worship,
Mm.
Arab worship, and whatever else they can throw into the pot. And this is no aspersion casting, no aspersions against the Arab people. They're as much our brothers and sisters as anybody on this planet. But when so-called black people were going through our turmoil during the civil rights days and before that with slavery, we weren't afraid to say the white man did this to us. He had to change for us to change our language.
Mm.
In the Nation of Islam, we just outright called him the devil.
Mm.
That's not our language today because he changed to a great degree.
Mm.
He's still immature in his main mind. He's still stuck in the materialistic grave with at least one of his feet stuck in the concrete. The other foot is trying to walk in the garden,
Yeah.
and he needs help getting there. He needs our help getting there.
Mm.
So this is not about, as they say, dropping one master to pick up another master. That's not what
Right.
this is.
Yeah.
No, your master is the Malik of El Alamin. of all
Hmm.
systems of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what we follow. We don't follow ethnic groups and
Right.
ethnic leaders. Where was the concentration on imams in the time of Muhammad the Prophet? How many khutbahs did he give where he addressed the imams in the community? Well, no such thing. They weren't even talking about imams until maybe, uh, you know, Abu Bakr and them started to lead. They may have called them imams, but they called them khalifs.
Right.
But they didn't call any of them. What's that term they came up with?
Is it Sheikh?
No, the term actually is khalif. They didn't call any of them khalifs. They called them emirs. That was my point. The term
Hmm.
khalif came later. Muhammad never said, call these people Khalifa Umar, Ali,
Right.
and so forth and so on. Never. How did we come to call them that? And why are we still 1,500 years later calling them by those titles that the Quran never gave them,
Yeah.
nor did Muhammad give it to them?
Mm.
So the question is, who gave it to them, and what was so convincing about those titles that we still, almost 2,000 years later, are still calling them by those titles
That is a
and
question.
depending on them for dear life?
Yeah. Mm.
Imam is just a mommy.
Mm.
That's where the word comes from Imam. He's just a mommy of the community. He's the one feeding the community the information. He's the one we go to for the warmth and the reassurance that a mother would give to a child.
Right.
That's the purpose of the imam. If you want to go to daddy, you need to find you an amir for your masjid. I used to tell my folks that all the time. I said, yeah, you rocking and rolling with these imams. But the reason why you're in so much trouble and can't pay the bills and keep the masjid open is because you don't have an amir. You don't have anybody that is strictly dedicated to the economics of this
Yeah.
place and of our journey. Where are we going? Where do we want to be 5 years from now? Do we have an economic plan for that?
Yeah.
Or are we just hoping that the popularity of this imam will keep bringing us donations? So we invite the same people, Imam Siraj, Imam this one, Imam that one. And as we do that as yearly and bi-yearly fundraisers for that's how we are existing in America on the most part, except for those of us who just happen to have wealth.
Right.
Then you're depending on the wealthy ones to just keep the masjid open.
Yep.
But the imam shouldn't have to keep the lights on. That's the father's job.
Mm.
The emir is the daddy. The imam is the mommy.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Why else would it be from the same root letters? Imam. If his role was not the same as the role of a nurturing mother.
Right. Right. Hmm.
Amir is from a word that means commander. That's the daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like it, but you're going to do it anyway, because I told you to. You don't like cleaning your room, but you're going to do it anyway, you little hard-headed boy. And get in that room, get that room cleaned up.
Which Allah states. He goes, sometimes I want you to do something that you might not like
That's
to
right.
make you
But it is
successful.
good for you.
Yeah.
That's right. You got the message. So listen, we're going to have a part three on a different topic.
Okay.
We're going to let this germinate. And inshallah, we'll be getting a lot of good responses from this video.
Inshallah.
All right. And people out there who hear this, feel free to comment, feel free to ask questions. But let's give each other the encouragement that we need so that Nunetics will become, in the language of this world, viral. I don't like that term, but that's the term they like to use. Help Nunetics to become viral. Remember, everything is neutral before we make it good or bad. So I'm going to take viral and virus in that light and in that understanding.
Yeah.
Because everything in the world actually is here to serve a good purpose, even the viruses.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. All right. My wife told me, she said, during the COVID episode, she
Mm.
said, uh, she said, I don't know why they're calling COVID a virus and at the same time telling people that it's killing us. She said, viruses don't kill.
Mm.
Look it up. Viruses has been around for thousands of years. The COVID virus has been around for thousands of years.
Hmm.
It's on the aerosol. It's on Lysol on the bottle. Defeats COVID virus.
Hmm. Mm.
So these people have been fooling us through this language for many, many decades.
Mm.
And they do it by using terminology that you are not familiar with. And therefore they can promote it as though it's something new. There was a time when if you had called one of us a black man, you would have got slapped in your mouth by
Mm.
another black man who said, I'm a Negro, don't call me black.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago in history. They have been manipulating language. They called a man an Indian who wasn't even from India, the American Indian. He wasn't from India, per se. You know the ones who are from India.
So true.
Yeah, it's just a manipulation of language. And they called us black. And if we put our black shoe up to our face, that's not us.
Right.
How come they didn't call us brown? There's more of us who are brown complexion than there are true black complexion. How come we're not brown people? Well, how do you call Chinese people brown people and Japanese people yellow people? I mean, where we get these terms?
Colonizers? Yeah.
Say again?
The colonizers
Yeah.
or the social manipulators.
No, the colonizers is good too because all diseases begin in the colon.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Disease begins as a colony of diseases. That's how they flourish in colonies.
Hmm.
Anything
Hmm.
that's going to take over some other area, they come as a colony, the bee colony, the ant colony. They come as colonies and they take your stuff over, replace it or diminish it or make it work for it.
Yeah.
So colonies are individual, but you have to learn how to deal with it based on what you would do individual if that came and infested where you are.
Mm. Okay.
And the only way it won't happen is if you convince people that those words that you're using are the correct words for the situation.
Right.
So we were convinced that we were black people. And then we started looking up the meanings for black that they put in their dictionaries. And it meant everything evil, except for one word. I think it was Black Friday. That was the only good thing that black meant, that we could get things at a lesser price.
Right.
Everything else, even white was given good meaning. White lie, yeah, white cloud. It's beautiful. It's innocent. So we began to associate the color with the people. And that's how they've been getting away with this stuff for all of these years. Association.
Oh yeah.
So Imam Muhammad told us years ago, get away from color terms for human beings. There's no such thing as a white man or a black man or a red man or brown man or yellow man. Those are five different divisions of humanity that do not exist in reality. At first, it was just three separations of the so-called races. There was
Right.
just black, uh, yeah, there was black, red, and white.
Mm.
Yeah, there was Africa, black, Asia, red, and Europe, white. Those
Mm.
were the original three divisions of humanity.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Allah had to send them a zinger in the Quran, and He told them to look at the tops of mountains.
Hmm.
He said they are white, they are red, and they are black. He said, but when he came to the black, Allah said, intense in hue. Oh man, that makes me feel so good. He didn't say that about the other ones. He said, and black, intense in hue.
Mm.
Now, don't people go off thinking, oh, he's giving praise to the black people. No, that's not what that's doing. Because black is conceptual. Black only means that you are directly connected to nature. That's all black means in scripture.
Mm.
It means everything that is something, once all of the lights go out and you're in
Mm.
the black, you are now with nature.
Mm. Okay.
Make it the best way you can.
Mm.
Figure it out. Find you some light.
Mm.
Has nothing to do with your superior race or the original black man. It's God. It has nothing to do with that stuff.
Mm.
It's conceptual and it is developmental.
Mm.
All right.
All right.
Okay. This was fun. I enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you, instructor.
All right. We'll talk again soon, right?
Soon.
All right. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.